Alright, so here it is Sunday afternoon. I'm back out in the garage. And I went up to my local hardware store. And I'm amazed every time I go in that place because they seem to have literally everything in there. So what I did do was grab some springs because the springs I had here were not good enough. So these are the springs that I bought. There's 3 different lengths and 2 different gauges in here. I think one's an 041 and one's an 052 or 054, something like that. So I'm hoping that one of these 2 is going to work, or one of these 3 is going to work properly. They look like they're about the right length. So I'm going to go ahead and jump down here, pull this thing back off, and see what I can do for this. And here's the other one. So if you look at the difference in the gauge of the wire on these, so you can kind of see this one here that I had on there, how thin the wire is compared to these 3. Like I said, I think this is an 041 and this is like an 054 or something like that. I believe these are like an 020 or 020 or 021. They're pretty small gauge, so that's what I'm replacing is this guy. I'm going to try this one here, which is the 041 or 042. I'm going to try that one first. So if this one ends up being too stiff, then I'm kind of screwed because that's the softest one I have. However, what I can do is change the position of it here on this little thing to give me more or less leverage. So I'll give that a shot and see how it goes. What? I'm about to start this. It's going to be really loud. I'm just warning you. And it's going to be really smelly.
I have my ears covered.
It's going to be loud, Jake. I'm just warning you. Watch out. I told you not to stand in here. It smells bad.
It smells good.
No, it doesn't. It's really bad for you, Jake.
And Emma doesn't want to play a game with me. She thinks I'm going to try to see what's in.
So it works, but the angle of where I mounted the spring on there is a little bit too extreme. So I'm going to pull it back off and move it in more so I have less tension on it. Changes the leverage point on it. It does work though. You can tell it was like chugging a little bit, that noise at the end of it. That's because I'm basically overriding the governor and I can't keep up with the load on the engine with the governor. So I'm going to move this in one more hole. I think this is pretty good, but I want to make it so I can actually have adjustability in this bracket. I want to be able to latch this thing all the way open and have it stay running without bumping off the governor on the top. Once I get this set up and I know it's going to run properly without over revving the motor, then I'm going to have a throttle cable come around here and put a clamp on this bolt here so that it stops the cable here, and then I'm just going to drill a hole in the side of this arm, either pull this plastic off the top and clip it, or twist the end of this thing, the metal part of it, twist it over and put a hole in it so I can have the cable pull this way. That'll give me my throttle control that I want. Alright, there's that. Let's try it again. Well, I'm really glad I didn't richen that fuel pump up because whatever exhaust is coming out of this thing is absolutely burning the crap out of my eyes. Oh, it is so bad. I don't know why. I don't know if the muffler was clogged up with something or what. This definitely is going to need a stack. I got to get the exhaust away from my head. This is so bad. So I'm going to adjust this one more time. I'm going to put the spring further in on the top lever as far as I can basically go. I need a little bit less pull. now it works like it should. So I had to put a little spring on the top of the governor arm pulling against this main heavy spring. The one on the back is a very light gauge spring and it's very short, so it's always under tension. It's stretched a little bit, and then this one is pulling against it. Now it works perfectly. All right, so I got a buttload of work done. Again, it's kind of getting dark in the garage, so I'm trying to take a little bit more video before it gets completely dark. I got this mint hot rod exhaust up here. I was originally thinking about running it down under the footboards, and I had a design that I could actually run it down behind the motor and under the frame and out under that footboard. And even without a muffler, just with 1-inch pipe, it sounded nice and quiet, but I think this is way more becoming of a tractor that's kind of a hot rod. So did my old, should be patented diesel 1-inch washer exhaust manifold trick, and believe it or not, when you buy a decarbon kit for an Onan, it comes with 2 exhaust gaskets that you don't need if you have a BFMS for a Sears. So that gasket, if you just open up the holes on it just a tiny bit, slips right on there, and it's a nice graphite impregnated steel gasket, so that goes right against the block. So there's a gasket behind this guy. Got some nuts and washers on there. This is a 1-inch pipe nipple welded on that washer into a 1-inch black pipe 90, close nipple, another 90, I think this is another close nipple into another 90, into a short piece of pipe, into a Stanley muffler, and I believe that is a IH1 with a short piece of pipe welded on the end of it. I got my should be patented SS16 battery tray in here. The nice thing about this one is I don't have to cut these ears off, and I actually have this side panel for this side of the tractor. So I can put that back on once I get the belt on here. And this side, because there's a big gaping hole right in here, I'm actually going to put another one of those side covers on this side of the tractor. So I did that on the 679. Works out pretty well because it goes down right outside of the engine, covers that hole up, and it looks pretty factory. So on this side of this one, this is what I'm going to do. Just like this. And actually, this was a pull start side panel here, so it's not quite as far out as the other ones are. So this is actually a factory part for the Sears if it was a pull start, and it covers that up nicely. I'm going to do the same thing on the other tractor, and it just fills it in so it looks symmetrical because this side has the cover as well. But you can see this cover comes right out to the edge of the frame. The other one is back a little bit. Doesn't really matter. You can use 2 of those. Covers up the belt and everything real nice. So even though it's very similar, I'm going to have 3 Super 12 style grills, all diesels. Actually 4, because I'm putting the original grill back on Miss Emily. I'm actually going to have 4 Super 12 style grill diesels. And then I have the D10S. What else is a diesel in here? Oh, Mater, of course. Which I need to get out. Poor sad Mater. I haven't touched him in almost a year. That's for another day. He'll be coming out soon. But, you know, true to fashion, I don't finish one project. I get excited about another one, and I start on another one. What I did to help out with this gas tank, you can tell my should be patented 18 bazillion nuts in here to hold up this bracket. So that works out pretty well, you know, for now, which will probably mean permanently because that's how I am. But you can see all these nice nuts down here. And then underneath it, I had these little shelf brackets, these L brackets here. So I drilled a hole 2 inches down from the top of the bracket, bolted them right on the head. So I got 2 of those. And this is camper tape for a cap for a pickup truck that I jammed in between the tank and everything. So this now, nice and steady. This holds up the bottom of the tank to put pressure on it, and then the top bracket holds it in place. So I might just leave this tank right on here. That's off, I think that's off of either a rototiller or a snowblower. I think it's off of a snowblower. I'm not sure if it leaks. It kind of looks like it might be leaking around the seam. I don't know if that's diesel or not. Maybe I'll eventually shoot it with some carb clean and just throw some seam seal around there and just leave it be. But, oh yeah, it was a Snow King. See? But that's it for right now. I got my throttle linkage set up here. So this is the original throttle lever that it came with. I drilled a hole all the way through it and stuck my factory throttle cable right through it. Bent this nice little tail on the end of it that holds it on. And then I have just a cable clamp on here, which is like the loop with the bolt hole in it that you just snip on anything. And then I crushed it with a pair of pliers and I stuck 2 zip ties on there, so that's not going anywhere. Basically, it's factory. And that's the original throttle cable going around, so now, let's see if I can do this. When I pull up and down on the throttle, you can see it moving back and forth. All right, here it is. It's pretty much all back together. I got the grill bolted back on, the hood's back on correctly. I did have to put a longer pipe in here. I needed a 3-inch pipe because the close nipple, actually the muffler was hitting the hood. So note to self, when you put exhaust on, make sure you do it with the hood on so that you can see how it fits. Nice thing about these Chinese diesels, the bolt holes for the belt guard actually fit. So I got to tighten these up a little bit, put some spacers in there because it, you know, kind of flops around a little bit. But I got me a nice diesel engine stuffed in this tractor. The clutch is all set up. I got to make the side panel covers and stuff like that. The throttle assembly works on it. The only thing I really have left to do to this tractor is put the back tires on and put a drive belt on it. And the drive belt, I'm going to wait until I can pull this thing out because it's just a pain to work on it in this hole where it is now. It's kind of 3/4 of the way back in the garage. So I have the wheels. I gotta paint the wheels before I can put the tires on, so I might do that tonight before I go inside. At least paint the inside of the rim so I can put the tires on. I'll probably never actually paint the wheels. They're kind of rusty silver anyway, which would look pretty good on this tractor. So all that stuff's done. I got the clutch set up. I got a new clutch spring in there. Did my eye bolt trick. Did my hobby horse spring trick. So every one of these tractors I do, I learn a little bit more. Just stupid things like when you put these bolts on the hood, put a washer on the back side of it, and I also use nylock nuts. I went to Harbor Freight and they had a whole assortment of nylock nuts. They were about, I don't know, $8 for like 120 nuts or something like that. They work great for that kind of stuff, so you don't have any issues down the road with those bolts backing out and the hood falling off when you're trying to drive around. So I'm gonna give her a quick Yankee and start it up and let you guys hear it. Oh, look at that. I did have that spacer for the hood. That's good to know. All right, so let's throw you up here in the tripod. Starts up a lot easier now because I've been running it for a bit. And hopefully I don't accidentally shut my camera off here, as I often do. Now let me back up a little bit. There's still a little bit of light. It just sucks because the window's behind the tractor, so kind of screws up the lighting in here, but this way you can see it shoot some smoke out the exhaust. So let's give her a Yankee on the old dangle string. Give her some throttle. Now what I haven't done yet that I do want to do is hook up the choke cable to the decompression lever. Although it's only marginally helpful unless you can make a way to let the decompression lever release. So Fearless Front on YouTube actually had a really good idea on that, where he basically rolls the motor over until it gets on the compression stroke and then pulls he has the choke cable set up with a spring on it. So you pull it out, it pulls the decompression lever, and then when you push the choke cable back in, it releases the pressure off of that cable, but the decompression lever stays down. So right now, decompression lever is down. Gave it about half throttle. It should start up on the first. Forgot I already hit the decompression lever. Let's do her again. All right, decompression lever down. One pull should start. Nope. Let me give her a little more throttle. The throttle is not really linear on this, so I got to kind of give it more than half throttle to get it started. Wants to go. Give her some more throttle then. tell this is going to be one dirty bird driving out there, but let me pull this back out of my tripod here, and I'll give you another quick walk around real quick. So there she is. I am going to pull this tin off and repaint it. I need to get some cobalt blue metallic, which is a little bit darker than what's on this tractor now, but maybe if I put some gray primer underneath it and just lightly dust it, it'll work. You saw the muffler kind of flopping around because I got to weld that on. Again, I'm kind of waiting until I can get this thing outside. So next up is the drive belt. See if the brakes on this thing work, because I can't remember. It's been at least 2 years since I drove it. Believe it or not, 2018 plow day, I pulled the motor out of this thing and gave it to Jeffrey Katera. That was the last time it ran and drove. Ever since then, I've been pushing it around. So it's literally been 2 years, probably this week or next week, that it's driven. So I think it's about time. I just love this tractor. I gotta get it out. And I thought I had the side panel cover for this thing because I can tell that the paint, it was painted with that cover on. You can see the light blue underneath it. Unfortunately, the side cover that I have for this thing is actually a darker blue that came off of a 66 Suburban that I have. So I don't know if I have that cover or not. I might not. I do have a couple, and I actually have a template for one. So I'm going to cut a bunch of them out. I have some like 20 gauge steel that I got from my work. They were throwing some of it out, so I grabbed a bunch of plates. And I've made a few of these. I just need to make a couple more of these things and put them on. But yeah, so I got the PTO covers for that thing. I'm going to make the side cover panels, put a new belt on this thing, put the new wide tires on the back of it, take it outside, wash it. I might Scotch-Brite the hood just a little bit, because even though it's probably a little bit tough to tell, but the paint on this thing is really like rough and bumpy. But I think if I just lightly Scotch-Brite it and take off some of the crud, some of the loose flaky stuff, and then clear coat the hood again, I think it'll be all right. And I think I do have a hood ornament for this guy as well. I was debating putting something cool and funky on there, like a 60s car hood ornament or something, but it's a tractor. It's not a car. It's a cool tractor, but it's not a car. So that's where I'm at with this guy. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching Cranky Motorsports. This is probably going to be another pretty long video. I think I've probably taken over a half an hour of video, and it takes forever for me to upload that much, so I'm going to have to pare it down, but it runs really good. I'm really happy with it. The exhaust sounds good. I did this little turnout instead of having a flappy on here, and I really like the way it turned out. Looks kind of hot roddish. I'm probably just going to let it rust up. And this muffler came off another tractor that I got from a guy, and it was all bashed in, and he had tried smashing the bottom of this thing into a bigger fitting, and it was all messed up. So I straightened it out as best I could. I will probably weld this onto the bottom, fill all these holes in, and weld it right onto the angle nipple there, or the elbow. And I also tack weld inside all of my fittings on these so they don't loosen up. People ask me all the time, well, do you have an issue with this thing if it's got too much stress on the head? Not really, because up there on the head there's actually two 8mm studs and two nuts on there with a huge 1-inch ID washer that's about 2.5 inches outside diameter, and that's what's really holding all this on. So once this gets welded, I mean, all the tractors I have that have this type exhaust are done like that, and I've never had an issue. So again, thanks for watching Cranky Motorsports. Have a great day. Keep tractoring and keep safe in this COVID-19 crap.